So now it's my responsibility as Joaquin's best man to talk about Joaquin. But I actually know both of these guys very well. I've lived with them and trained with them, run with them and grown older with them. So I want to talk about both of them at the same time, and mainly their relationship together. Earlier today, the passage I read, and also in the sermon, they mentioned, well, how love can often be a matter of sacrificing over and over in the myriad little unsexy ways. I read it a lot, so I read it. I was worried about saying unsexy, so messed up. But, well, seeing their relationship develop made me think about a lot of what love is, which, as a matter of fact, the two of them taught me, I think, more than anyone else I know. And when I thought about what it is that characterizes their love, and perhaps all love, but mainly their love, it's that ability to do things and be things for each other that sometimes they know they're doing and sometimes they don't know at all. But it's the little things that make them, sacrifices they make to make one of the other one smile or laugh a little bit or be happy just for a moment when they're feeling unhappy, just because it makes the other one feel good. And they make those sacrifices no matter how hard they are, just for those little moments. And it seems, maybe like not the best trade-off in the world, but they still do it for each other all the time. And, well, when I was listening to that passage, it made me think about, the history of their relationship. And I thought about the way it started, which, as a matter of fact, I wasn't there for right at the beginning, but I was there the day after. And I got the play-by-play more or less, which really was more important. I think everyone who was there, I don't know if they even noticed what was happening. Everyone was too involved in their own party to realize that sooner or later, that one little moment on roller skates was going to turn into us all being here, But it's those roller skates that I think these lovely sacrifices began. And the reason I mention that is because for everyone who knows Joaquin and Ari, you know that they're not particularly good roller skaters. I certainly never saw them do it before. I don't know if any, but I certainly haven't seen them do it since. And maybe there's a reason. Joaquin was pretty sore the next day. I don't know Ari, but there was also 80s clothes. Yeah, Joaquin doesn't wear that much. But they both did this for each other. And when they decided before that they were going to go together, and, they both had this quiet little excitement that they didn't really tell anybody about this one moment, then, it didn't really seem to matter that they had to dress up and look ridiculous. I think neither of them were particularly focused on that, and they did it anyway. So then that was the beginning, and things progressed, and they grew older together and trained together and went through their college lives, and they weathered a moment where Joaquin left. He left Ari. At the time, I didn't really think about their relationship. I just remember him leaving me. Which was fine. I wanted to go have fun at another Pac-10 school. Best story, running history, wonderful place. Anyway. And then they were lucky enough to come back together. And running initially brought them together, but they've made a beautiful life for themselves in this beautiful house. And, I got to be 2 hours away, so I get to come periodically. I'm not quite as in tune with all the things they do for each other, but they seem happy as can be. But I have been able to make a few visits, and it's one visit that I made recently that made me realize truly how perfect they are for each other, and why this relationship is special. So Angie and I, we went up there for dinner, and after pleasantries and talking, catching up and stuff, we sat down for dinner, and Ari brought it out, and much to my surprise, the menu was rice, beans, enchiladas, cilantro. And it was really, really good, and I was really, really happy about it. It tasted great, but like I said, I lived with Ariana for a year, and I don't remember Mexican food ever being on the menu. But like I said, it was a wonderful dinner. From what I understand, Ari will continue the time-honored tradition of non-Chapas entering the Chapa family and cooking Mexican food for Chapas. And she's really good at it, so whenever Chapas go over, you guys can be really excited about it. But so also at this dinner, before we actually started eating, I got to go around and have a little tour of the place. And when they moved in, it was a perfect little house in a perfect little neighborhood, but you know, it was in need of some renovation, and anyone who's been there knows that they've done some beautiful, beautiful things to the house. And both of them did it together, and they've done a great job, and it looks fantastic, and you know, it looks just like the kind of place they live in. And Joaquin contributed just as much as Ari did, which, you know, seems like a normal thing for a couple in their first house to do. The two of them work on things together. So seemingly it's an unremarkable thing, but if you know Joaquin, it's the most remarkable thing in the world. When I was there, it made me think of a time sophomore year. We were all living together, and you know, first time probably lived with friends, and it was kind of similar. We were, you know, trying to make a home for ourselves, and I remember cleaning up the place before we were having a get together and saying something like, "Hey, Waco, you know, why don't you go sweep up out there?" And, I mean, I don't remember this exactly, but I'm pretty sure he said, "Oh, I don't really know how to sweep." I think Waco gets that now. He's sweet before he sees how he's, but you know, everyone else is sweeping. You know? That's what I said, you know. And then I walked out there and I realized I should have given him more instruction. I heard you then before. I also remember the time, this is when I was looking at all the work he'd done at their house. I remember the time, junior year, we were living together and, you know, trying to settle in. Classes had started. We were all pretty happy and comfortable in our place, but there was this large obstruction in our hallway. And this was a month in, and finally it was like, God, you know, like, when is that person going to bring in that monstrosity of wood out there? And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's my IKEA set of drawers." I tried to put it together, and the manual was too long, and I got frustrated, so I don't know, I think it's just going to stay out there. And you know, I mean, the longest IKEA manual is maybe 11 pages. And when I asked him, you know, I mean, he did this tile work in his kitchen, and I asked him, you know, "This is amazing, like, how did you learn this?" And he said, "I read the manual." It didn't make any sense. So here we are at their wedding, and it was such a beautiful wedding. I think, you know, I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. But well, when Chuck talked about the sacrifices that are necessary for a happy marriage and for any happy relationship, like I said, I couldn't agree more, and I think I learned that lesson from these two. And if that's all it takes to remain happy, then, well, they have it kind of locked up. But I was thinking more about it, and I think that there's other things that are required, and luckily they have these things too. And those are those things that maybe they don't do for each other, but maybe those things that they are for each other. And these are a little less difficult to describe, but I think the changes that they've been through in the past few months exemplify what they are for each other more than anything. Among other things, they've both really transitioned away from running. And from a guy who can't transition away from running, I know how amazing that is. And I know that, you know, really it's only with each other and having what they have with each other that's given them to realize that, you know, ultimately nothing defines them more than the love they have for their families, but the love they have for each other. Ariana also, I mean, I don't know how any other way to put this, but Ari has inspired Joaquin to become a doctor again. And I remember freshman year when, you know, everybody wanted to be doctors. And Joaquin wanted to be a doctor back then. And I mean, I think, you know, I think he said something like, well, as soon as I realized that they weren't just going to give me the degree, I didn't really want to do it anymore. And now here he is. Yeah, it was freshman year. We were all like that. We didn't know what we were. But I should say, so here he is now, and he's put in such an amazing amount of work. And as soon as this wedding wraps up, well, he'll get his score back and he'll apply. And I mean, we all know Joaquin. He's going to be a great doctor. And it's a testament to who he is, but it's also a testament to their relationship, that they can believe in each other sufficiently to take some risks and find out who they are. You know, Ari similarly has stopped running and now has this fantastic job she's about to start, which is right consistent with her passion, sustainability, and, well, saving the world, which honestly I don't think I know anybody or have heard about anybody who can more successfully actually save the world. If anyone can save the world, it's Ari. So I guess it's between those two things. It's them making sure that, you know, every little precious moment is wonderful between the two of them, and that the future between the two of them is bright also. So, Joaquin and Ari, thank you personally for everything you've done for me.